Most women don't realize that men notice more than just looks. The truth is, there are little things you do, often without thinking, that catch a man's attention and stick with him. These are the details that reveal who you really are, and they matter more than you think. The way you carry yourself says everything before you even open your mouth. Men may not always articulate it, but they notice posture, the rhythm of your steps, the tilt of your head, and the subtle expressions that play across your face. Walking into a room with your shoulders back and your head held high communicates confidence and self-assurance in a way that doesn't need words. Even something as small as the way you sit down or stand up tells a story about how comfortable you are in your own skin. When you walk with purpose instead of hesitation, when you make eye contact instead of looking away, men see that and it leaves a mark. They might not consciously analyze every detail, but they feel the difference between someone who moves with certainty and someone who shrinks into the background. It's why body language is often remembered longer than the clothes you were wearing or the exact words you spoke. A smile that reaches your eyes, a glance that lingers with openness instead of fear, a stance that is balanced and grounded rather than restless. Those things have power. Respond in moments of pressure. Do your shoulders tighten when you're nervous, or do you keep your body relaxed even when the situation is intense? Do you fold your arms as a shield, or do you keep yourself open to the environment around you? These signals may feel insignificant, but they communicate far more than you think. A man can sense insecurity, but he can also sense strength that doesn't have to be announced. He notices when you don't fidget to fill silence, when you allow yourself to simply be present without over-explaining or overcompensating. That ability to stay composed is magnetic because it shows you are in control of yourself even when you can't control the room. The smallest details add up. The way you lean in when someone is talking, showing you are engaged. The way your hands move when you're expressing yourself, revealing passion or nervousness. The way you tilt your head when listening, signaling empathy and interest. Men take in those subtle cues even if they never tell you outright. They might say you have a certain aura or that there's just something about the way you move, but what they are really describing is the impact of your body language. And the truth is, you don't need to force it. The most striking impression comes when your body language aligns with who you are, when your movements are natural and not rehearsed, when your confidence flows through your posture instead of being hidden behind forced gestures. Think about how contagious body language can be. Someone who walks in with energy and positivity lifts the atmosphere. Someone who drags their steps and avoids all eye contact drains it. Men pick up on that energy instantly. They notice how you command space without saying a word, how you make people feel comfortable around you because you're comfortable within yourself. They notice when you aren't trying too hard because authenticity always stands out. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. And presence isn't something you put on like makeup. It's something you embody when you accept yourself fully. Your body speaks long before your mouth does, and men listen to that unspoken language every time they're around you. They might not consciously analyze why they felt drawn to you or why your presence stuck with them, but it's the way you carried yourself that left the impression. It's the silent confidence in your step, the ease in your movements, the calm steadiness in your posture that tells them you know your worth without having to announce it, and that is what lingers in their mind long after the conversation ends. The way you treat others reveals more about you than any words you could ever say, and men notice this even when you think no one is paying attention. It's easy to show kindness when the spotlight is on you, when you're around people you want to impress. But what speaks louder are the moments when you interact with those who cannot give you anything in return. The way you speak to a waiter, the patience you show to a cashier who is taking a little longer, the respect you give to someone who makes a mistake. All of these small acts tell a man who you really are at your core. These are the glimpses that matter because they are authentic, unfiltered, and often unplanned. When you treat people with dignity, regardless of their role or position, it leaves an impression that runs deeper than looks or charm ever could. Men notice when your kindness isn't conditional. They pick up on whether you are only polite when it benefits you or if you extend respect naturally without needing recognition. They notice the tone of your voice when you address people in service roles, the patience in your body language when someone is struggling, the warmth in your expression when someone needs a little grace. These are not things that can be faked for long because they flow from genuine character. Men admire this because it reflects a strength of heart, a maturity that shows you value people, not for what they can give you, but simply because they are human. That kind of treatment does not go unnoticed, and it builds a quiet respect that can't be bought or forced. Even in the smallest settings, these habits stand out. When you thank someone sincerely, when you make eye contact instead of dismissing them, when you give your attention instead of scrolling through your phone, it shows that you don't take others for granted. Men are especially observant in these moments because it tells them how you might treat them, their family, or even strangers in the future. They are paying attention to consistency. Do you extend the same kindness when no one is watching? Do you remain polite when things don't go your way? Do you show gratitude for small efforts that others make for you? These questions are answered not by what you claim, but by how you act in everyday interactions. It's not about being overly sweet or pretending to be perfect. It's about having a natural respect for people that comes through in how you carry yourself. When a man sees you treating people well, it signals emotional intelligence and empathy, two qualities that are rare and deeply valuable. He notices that you don't look down on others, that you don't create distance through arrogance, that you don't use sharp words to prove a point. Instead, you lift others in the way you speak to them, and that leaves an impression that stays. It communicates maturity, stability, and grace without needing to be advertised. This awareness also extends beyond kindness into fairness and patience. Men notice when you're quick to judge versus when you pause to understand. They notice if you can stay calm in stressful situations or if you lash out at the nearest person. They see how you handle conflict, whether you escalate it with hostility or resolve it with composure. These observations matter because they reveal the kind of partner you could be, the kind of presence you bring into a room, and the way you handle life when it doesn't go according to plan. The truth is, how you treat others doesn't just reflect on them, it reflects on you. It reveals your values, your upbringing, your character, and your self-respect. Men are far more attentive to this than most women think. It might seem like just another ordinary moment when you're interacting with someone in passing, but those ordinary moments are often the ones that speak the loudest about who you are underneath the surface. Confidence in being yourself is one of the most magnetic qualities a woman can have, and men notice it immediately, often before they even fully realize why they feel drawn in. Confidence doesn't always mean being the loudest in the room or constantly drawing attention to yourself. It shows up in subtle ways that speak louder than words. It's in the way you can laugh at yourself without embarrassment, in the way you wear what you like without needing validation, in the way you express your opinions without fear of judgment. Men notice when a woman is secure enough not to compete, not to compare, not to shrink, and not to seek approval from everyone around her. That quiet steadiness creates an energy that is hard to ignore because it signals that you know who you are and you're not afraid to live it. Confidence in being yourself shows up in how you carry your individuality. When you make choices that align with your own preferences instead of chasing trends just to fit in, it tells a story about your self-assurance. Men notice when you're comfortable enough to be genuine, when you don't pretend to like something just because others do, when you stay true to your values even if they aren't popular. That level of authenticity isn't common, and it stands out in a world where so many people feel pressured to put on masks. Men see the difference between someone who adapts to every environment to be accepted and someone who can walk into any environment and remain consistent with who they are. There's also a certain calmness that comes with confidence. You don't need to constantly prove yourself, defend yourself, or argue to be seen. Men notice when you can sit comfortably in silence, when you don't need to over-explain every choice, when you aren't shaken by small criticisms. They notice the steadiness in your reactions, the way you don't let insecurity dictate your behavior, the way you hold yourself even when others might try to test you. That calm energy communicates self-trust, and self-trust is attractive because it shows that you are not depending on others to define your worth. Another part of confidence that men notice is the freedom it gives you to enjoy life without overthinking. You don't need constant reassurance before making a decision. You don't hold back from opportunities out of fear. You don't second guess every step you take. Men pick up on this sense of freedom when you engage fully in experiences, when you laugh without self-consciousness, when you take risks without needing every guarantee. That ability to live with openness instead of hesitation is powerful because it tells men that you're not weighed down by insecurity or fear of judgment. It shows that you can embrace life as it comes, and that is something men deeply admire. Confidence in being yourself also reveals itself in how you handle mistakes. Instead of pretending you're flawless or becoming defensive, you can admit when you're wrong, learn from it, and move forward. Men notice that humility paired with strength because it shows maturity. It proves that your confidence isn't built on arrogance or pretending to be perfect, but on a solid understanding of your own worth, regardless of flaws. That kind of confidence is rare, and men value it because it feels genuine, grounded, and real. Ultimately, confidence in being yourself is about alignment between who you are on the inside and what you show on the outside. It's the freedom to live without needing to constantly adjust for acceptance, the security to express yourself without apology, and the courage to let your true self be seen. Men notice when you have that because it's undeniable in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you listen, and the way you move through the world with a sense of ease that can't be faked. The tone and energy of your voice carry far more weight than most people realize, and men are especially tuned into it, even if they don't consciously recognize why. It's not always about the exact words you choose, but about the way you say them, the rhythm, the warmth, the sharpness, or the calm that comes through when you speak. Men notice the difference between someone who speaks with tension and someone who speaks with ease, between someone who constantly fills silence with anxious chatter and someone who can let their words flow naturally. A soft tone can bring comfort, a confident tone can command respect, and a playful tone can spark connection. All of these create impressions that last long after the conversation ends because people don't just remember what was said, they remember how they felt when it was said. Men pay attention to the energy you bring into conversations. If your voice carries stress, frustration, or bitterness, it lingers in the air and they pick up on it quickly. On the other hand, if your tone conveys warmth, patience, or lightheartedness, it changes the entire dynamic. It can calm situations that might otherwise turn tense, it can make people feel safe enough to open up, and it can leave an impression of steadiness that is very attractive. Even when discussing something serious, the way your voice delivers the message communicates more about your state of mind than the words themselves. Men notice if your voice carries panic or peace, hostility or understanding, and these cues shape how they experience you. The tone of your voice also reveals confidence. A woman who speaks too quietly or hesitantly might give the impression that she doubts herself, while a woman who speaks with clarity and composure communicates that she knows her value. Men notice when you don't rush your words, when you don't mumble to hide your opinion, when you allow your voice to be heard without apology. That steadiness isn't about being loud, it's about being sure. Confidence in your voice shows that you trust yourself enough to express what you think, and that kind of assurance stands out because it cannot be faked for long. Men also notice the emotional texture within your voice. They hear the difference between sarcasm that cuts and humor that uplifts, between criticism that belittles and feedback that encourages. between irritation that pushes people away and patience that draws people closer. The tone of your voice often reflects your mindset and your emotional state more honestly than your facial expressions do. You might be saying polite words, but if your tone is sharp or dismissive, the message lands differently. Men pick up on that contrast, and it tells them more about you than the content of the conversation. Even in simple interactions, your voice leaves an imprint. A warm hello, a gentle laugh, a calm explanation, or even the way you say someone's name carries weight. Men remember those subtle tones because they affect how they feel in your presence. They may not recall the exact sentence you spoke, but they will remember if your voice made them feel relaxed, respected, or uplifted. That's why tone and energy are so powerful, because they shape the emotional experience of communication in ways that words alone cannot. Men notice when your voice adapts with intention. They can tell when you use a calm tone to de-escalate conflict, when you speak with enthusiasm to show genuine excitement, when you lower your voice to share something meaningful. These adjustments reveal emotional awareness and control, qualities that leave a lasting impression. It shows that you understand not just what to say, but how to say it, and that awareness is rare and deeply valued. The truth is, your voice is an extension of your presence. It reflects your confidence, your emotions, your patience, and your energy all at once. Men notice when your words carry sincerity rather than pretense, when your tone creates harmony instead of tension, when your energy lifts the space instead of draining it. It becomes a defining part of how they experience you, shaping the memory of conversations and the feelings attached to them in ways you may never fully realize. The consistency between what you say and what you do is one of the strongest signals of character, and men notice it whether they ever put it into words or not. It's easy to speak about values, to make promises, to say the right things in the right moment, but what truly defines someone is how well their actions align with those words over time. Men pay close attention to this alignment because it reveals authenticity, dependability, and integrity, qualities that go much deeper than charm or appearance. When you say you believe in something and then live it out through your choices, it builds trust without you even trying. When your actions consistently mirror your values, you create a sense of stability that men quietly admire and remember. This consistency shows up in the small details. If you talk about kindness but treat others with impatience, the disconnect is obvious. If you say you value honesty but twist the truth when it's convenient, the impression left is hard to forget. Men notice those contradictions, not because they're looking for flaws, but because inconsistency creates uncertainty. On the other hand, when your behavior reflects what you stand for even in small moments, it communicates strength and reliability. Men see when your words aren't just talk, when they are backed up by the way you live, and that leaves a mark far stronger than grand statements ever could. Consistency also matters in relationships. Men notice when you set boundaries and actually hold them, when you say what you expect and then follow through on it. They notice if you're steady in your emotions or if your reactions swing drastically, depending on the situation. Stability is attractive because it creates security, and security comes from knowing that what someone presents on the surface matches who they are underneath. When you are consistent in how you treat people, in how you manage stress, in how you keep your promises, it creates a foundation that men not only respect, but rely on. There is also a confidence that comes with this alignment. When your words and actions match, you don't need to constantly defend yourself or over-explain. Men notice when you move through life with that quiet assurance, when you don't need to prove anything because your consistency already speaks for itself. It shows maturity and self-respect because it means you live by principles instead of convenience. That kind of strength is something men pay close attention to, even when they don't verbalize it. Men also notice how you handle challenges and whether your actions hold true under pressure. It's one thing to speak kindly when everything is going smoothly, but do your words hold when you're frustrated? It's easy to promise loyalty when circumstances are comfortable, but do your choices reflect loyalty when tested? These are the moments that reveal character, and men remember them. They notice when you remain consistent in times when it would have been easier not to be, and that is when respect deepens. Even the smallest follow through matters. Saying you'll show up at a certain time and actually being there, promising to take care of something and following through, giving your word and keeping it. These little actions are not little in the eyes of someone who is paying attention. Men see the connection between these daily patterns and the bigger picture of who you are. They notice when your behavior builds reliability instead of doubt, and reliability is something that creates lasting impact. The consistency between what you say and what you do is what turns words into trust, promises into proof, and intentions into reality. Men notice when you are the kind of person who doesn't just talk about values but embodies them, who doesn't just make commitments but keeps them, who doesn't just speak of honesty but lives it out in every choice you make. And that consistency becomes one of the most unforgettable qualities about you